welcome everyone that is on the other side of the screen. Welcome to the Big Reset conference. Thank you to the organizers for putting this together on such a short notice and putting an outstanding event. This is day 3 of the Big Reset. This is Elina, Zheleva, and Kristina Petrova. We are the leadership team of launchlabs Sofia. We're a business redesign studio. We help companies redesign their businesses, more specifically, redesign the mindsets within their organizations and redesign the experiences they offer to their customers. We are, once again, the leadership team of launchlabs Sofia, and we'll be talking about leadership in the new era. Over to Kristina, who will give us an introduction of what has changed after the crisis, and I'll follow up with some tips from our own leadership cockpit.
Thanks, Ellie. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you as far as we can see you. As Ellie said, we've compiled some research that we did over the last few months, looking at creative leadership and preparing for a new era of work as it's happening right now. Just a quick addition to what Ellie said about us. She said we're a business redesign studio. We've got offices in Germany and Switzerland and in Bulgaria, and looking to grow even more over the following years. We work with big corporations, but also mid-sized companies, NGOs, and public institutions. And basically, why we exist to guide companies through what we call business as unusual, a situation that fits the situation we're all in right now. We actually came up with the phrase before the crisis, just to address the changing needs and the way leaders will face turbulent times. We basically are there as a right hand to companies to really guide them through these times of uncertainty. What we do is we mix and match a wide spectrum of design disciplines and agile methodologies, and we work with companies to spark innovation. So some of the methodologies that we use and combine, you can see them on the screen, from futures thinking to design thinking, service design, Scrum, and brand design. Our expertise is basically finding the right combination of methodologies to solve a particular issue that a company faces. And what we did, as I mentioned earlier, is we decided to create a compilation of insights that we think will be useful first for our own business, and secondly, something that we shared with all our clients, partners, and everyone around us, and we want to share with you today what the future of work will look like. What we did is we compiled insights and statistics from leading consultancies, research agencies, innovation companies, from IDEO, Bain, McKinsey, etc. And whilst we were looking for insights on how to tackle the crisis and different strategies that everyone is coming up with, we decided to zoom out a bit and see the big picture. And what hit us is the insight that we're not really handling so much a crisis as we are doing something that had already started, a process that had already begun, which is preparing for this new era of work, which is really imminent. So on the surface, it looks like something brand new. On the inside, it's something really simple. It's been around for years, working on different gears, and we believe its time has finally come. So we've kind of reached the tipping point. And what we found are two things. First of all, the imminent digitalization of work processes and the change that companies are forced to go through right now, something that had started in some companies and in some industries and some sectors, and something which is just being catalyzed by the whole crisis. But the second thing we really want to talk about today is the imminent need to establish leadership qualities which will be needed to lead this new era of work. Because if it's a new era of work, obviously we'll need some new leadership skills and tactics and just mindsets to lead people through this, because it's all changing. And basically what we came up with as our leading insights, I won't go through the whole research, of course, but what we wanted to share today is really focusing on talking about leadership versus management. So it's creative leadership tactics versus crisis management. So as I said before, it's something that's been around for a long time, talking about leadership more than just management, but more than ever, because we are facing a time of real disconnect. So we're really connected digitally. Everybody is on different platforms, Zoom and whatever, but we've never been more disconnected emotionally. And this goes for employees feeling disconnection to their HQs, to their fellow people at work. And it's a disconnect that we saw in all of our research. And whilst leaders, when asked how they assess the connection to their employees, they state really high percentages. And then when we talk to employees, you find that people are really feeling lost, scared. They don't know what the plan is, what's in for them, what's going to happen. Do we know where we're going? Does leadership know where we're going, what we're doing? And what's really happening is that this big disconnection is kind of making people really uncertain about their future. And so what we wanted to talk about is creative leadership and how this can help, and how leaders can guide people through these times. And it's all coming to this really simple point, which is something that we've really focused on all our projects and all our work during the years, and something that I'm sure you guys have all heard a lot about. It's empathy and connection. And this will be the most critical leadership quality that needs to be understood and embraced by everyone who wants to kind of find a new way forward through these times. Basically, to continue what the research showed, we've kind of boiled it down to three main things, which kind of encompass the whole definition of creative leadership for us. And I'm just going to take you through three of them, and Ellie will just continue my thinking. So what we found is that people, as I said, more than ever, need someone to inspire them. As usual, everyone needs someone to look up to, someone to guide them through these times. But this is especially important for leaders to kind of put on their optimistic hats, to share this momentum of forward momentum, and kind of inspire everyone around them. And this is one of the leading qualities that will be absolutely necessary. The next thing is navigating this uncertainty and this ambiguity with curiosity and bold ideas, which sounds like a cliche, but it really means that in these times call for really novel ideas, novel strategies, and kind of having the guts to take decisions that, if not taken now, might even lead to the decline of revenue of the success a company might have. And the last thing that we really wanted to focus on is the establishment of diverse multidisciplinary teams, just so we're sure that we always have a different perspective from different people with different backgrounds, and a team that is formed of so many different points of view will kind of give us the opportunity to do the other two things that we talked about. So having this perspective in many different angles from different design disciplines, this is why even us in our work, we try to combine different design methodologies, different disciplines, just so we always have the certainty that we've looked through a certain problem through many different perspectives and that we've been thorough enough. This is the short version of our research. It goes into much more depth. Ellie will continue and yeah.
Okay, guys. So I'll continue and I'll go a little maybe off slides, if not off topic. So I'll ask Kristina to stop sharing the slides because what I'm going to say is really a bunch of personal insights on top of the big research that we did. And to summarize that, there was a disconnect before COVID-19 between employees and leadership. What COVID-19 caused was it just added depth and width to this disconnect. So if we had a disconnect, now we have a big disconnect. So the tips, the tactics that Kristina mentioned, that leadership now it's for leadership now it's the time to be extra optimistic, extra empathetic, extra inspirational, to encourage bold ideas, to mix diverse teams to work together and realize these bold ideas. Yes, it's relevant, but didn't we know this even before the crisis? Of course we knew this. So there is nothing new in what I think as leadership we need to do. The only real insight is that we actually have to do it. And now it's the time. This conference is called the Big Reset for a reason. I call it the Big Leap. So leadership has to leap from what we did before to a new leadership style. And the new leadership style is very simple. It's these three simple things that we mentioned. However, doing all of them, doing them long-term, doing them sustainably, turning them into, leadership style is a totally different ballgame. On a personal level, if you want, it's like, if you wanted to start leading a healthier lifestyle, right? You know exactly what you need to do. You have to start eating healthier. You have to start to exercise. You have to reduce stress, right? But doing all these things and turning them into your everyday lifestyle is different. And usually people need kind of an important moment to switch to doing all of them sustainably. Maybe you did all of these things kind of on and off. Maybe you did some of them, but doing them all together sustainably, you need a big reason. And for us, this crisis is the big reason. It's the right moment. The time is now to start doing these things as leadership. The problem, in my opinion, and this is a personal story, but the problem, in my opinion, is that we still have in our head old school management theories. I studied, for example, in one of the oldest and very prestigious French universities. This is where I did my business studies. And what they were telling us then was, as a manager, you need a very clear strategy. You need to know exactly what you want, exactly where you're going, and you need to be able to communicate clearly the strategy. You need to communicate the whats and whys of the strategy and leave the how to people. So empower, delegate, leave the how to people. So the old formula that I have been raised by as a manager is clear strategy plus what I call execution ticket. Unfortunately, this is old school. The new era requires us as managers to give more exploration tickets. I call them exploration tickets because this is an invitation to our team to really explore an area, strategic area that we find important for our company. So in new era, it's okay not to have a clear strategy. It's enough to just have what I call exploration areas where you want to dig deeper. And by giving the exploration tickets to your team, you give them the mandate to do their own research, really, to formulate their own insights about the problem, to come up with their own ideas, to really find smart ways to test them. So that's what we need to do as leadership now. I call this portfolio logic borrowed by the VC industry, which I'm sure a lot of us on both sides of this conference know pretty well. As an investor, what you do essentially is you have strategic priorities. You have, industries maybe or areas in which you want to invest because you find them strategically important to your VC company. And the way you do it is you give same thing, exploration tickets. You just invest in companies and essentially tell them, hey guys, here is some money, do something smart with it. But you're not operationally involved in what they do. They do as they fit. You only, as an investor, you're only there to support them, to guide them strategically, to open doors for them, etc. And as managers, as leaders, I should say, we need to do exactly this. Give the exploration ticket and give all the support we can to our teams to really dig deep into that area and come up with an interesting concept that we can implement as either part of the existing portfolio, maybe an extension of a product, maybe an extension of a service, maybe a new feature, maybe a completely new product or service. That's perfectly fine. So on one side, we just give them the space and time, if you want, the resources to explore. On the other side, we need to equip our teams with tools that allow them to do quick research, to do brainstorming in diverse teams, to do rapid prototyping, to do smart tests. We need to give them the tools. And the third thing we need to do is really work inside our companies to redesign the processes, the systems, the procedures that we have that are an obstacle to this new way of working that is way more creative, way more bold, way more agile. So these are the things we need to do as leadership. It's really nothing new, but as I said, the time is now. We have one job, and the job is to become, as leadership, we need to become investors in exploration. And this is a complex job. It involves a lot of empathy, a lot of listening, a lot of trust, a lot of just pure old, boring process redesign in-house, maybe a lot of training, maybe a lot of coaching. So the elements are not new, but doing it together sustainably and for the long run is the difficult part. So that's our message. Be the investors of exploration, inspire and support your teams in the new era if you want to really be ready for the even more uncertainty and ambiguity that will come with time. This is just the first, I think, crisis at least in my management career, but not the last one, definitely. So with this, we wanted to leave the rest of the time, which is 10 minutes, really to questions. And we'll ask the hosts of this organization to ping participants for questions and really spend the time answering them as best as we can.
Great, ladies. That was quite an insightful keynote. Thank you so much. It was really inspiring also. So I personally have one question as a follow-up. Do you hear me well? Perfect. Eli, you wrote an article for Trending Topics some time ago on how launchlabs went through the crisis and reinvented itself. Can you share some insights, actually both of you, on how you reacted as leaders and probably some particular steps you did?
Well, we claim to eat our own dog food at launchlabs. And the things that I mentioned, we really did them. As leadership, we didn't know the answer, so we gave a lot more freedom to the team to really come up with various ideas, to do their own research and come up with their own insights. Luckily, we are equipped with the right tools, which is not the case with a lot of companies that we work with. One of the things that we work for companies is really to help them redesign the mindsets and the toolbox that they use in-house by teaching them things from design thinking, from service design, from Scrum. So we had the right tools. I think, honestly, we just never had the time, if you want, to explore in such depth areas like digital facilitation, like digital training. We never had the aspiration of being a digital company. We just liked so much. We were in our comfort zone. We liked so much the face-to-face contact of a live training. We like the dynamic, and the adrenaline that you feel in a real design sprint when we work with company. But that was very much our comfort zone. And once we were pushed out of it because we couldn't do any of the work we did before, the team was somehow, I think, invigorated. That's how the team felt. It was, in my opinion, invigorated by the crisis. I personally learned to step back and to really say, I don't know what we should do. These are some of the lessons from inside. Kristina?
Yeah, I think looking back now, we did the three things we were talking about without actually knowing about them. So we definitely tried to listen to each other a lot. This is very important. And we had more conversations about how we're feeling, what our worries are, than we did about what we're going to do with our business, even though it was like 100% of the projects just were canceled. So our business was dying, but we were trying to keep the emotional connection in our team alive, which I think was very important and helped us actually get inspired to innovate. Because I don't think that would have happened if we didn't have that safe space within the team. We would have just, I think, just said, okay, 100% of our projects are canceled. We don't have any business. Let's just, I don't know, close shop. But I think this was something really, really important. I'm actually really appreciating it now, looking back in time to it. And the other thing, we weren't afraid to try new things. So we weren't afraid to experiment. We weren't afraid to launch things, even though we're a big fan of, testing before we launch anything with real people who are going to be users of our product. But I think we just we were really bold. Looking back in time, I could say that we weren't afraid to try new things, and I think that really helped us. These two things.
You then went on researching, and I have a question from the audience. What was the most surprising for you from the research you did? Was there one finding that really surprised you from the research you quoted earlier?
I think I said it earlier. Nothing really surprising. Just the things we know, they just kind of came together. And the insight is just start doing all these things that we know that we should do. Let's just start doing them. There's no time to wonder, to be paralyzed and just uncertain whether you should take certain steps. Our biggest insight is we all know as leaders what we have to do. Let's just start doing all this that we know. I think Ellie can elaborate on that as well, but I think that was the biggest insight.
Always surprised by numbers. That's what always surprises me, because we are, as a company, very much people of insights. So the insights did not surprise us, at least me personally, very much, but the numbers. One of the numbers that really stuck in my head was that something close to 90% of leadership believes their employees have a voice. They can come up with proposals, with ideas, have the space to experiment, participate in what the company actually is from a strategic and operational perspective. However, only, I think, less than 40% of employees actually feel they have a voice. So there is a 50% gap here between what leadership thinks and what employees feel. So that for me was surprising. And these are, solid numbers from solid consultancies that did the numbers, did the research.
Could we probably give one very actionable step towards closing this gap for leadership, for employees? Something small that everyone can start doing from tomorrow on.
One of the things you can start doing from tomorrow on is really start a conversation. What's next for us? How can we explore more together. Really just raising this question openly as leadership, saying, guys, I don't know all the answers. I know maybe as a leader, I know some strategic areas just due to the fact that maybe more information reaches my desk. But I don't know all the answers. Even maybe I haven't identified all the strategic areas, but let's assume I have. I don't know all the answers of what we need to do in terms of products, new services, improvements of existing products and services for the existing ones. So just admitting you don't know all the answers. It's first of all inviting. It's an invitation for people to participate, explore. It's an invitation for them to take responsibility and for you guys to become finally one team. It's a simple thing, but it opens for more empathy on both sides.
Right. Great, ladies. Thank you so much for these insights. All the leaders that are watching us, make a conference call tomorrow on discussing what you don't know actually and how your employees can help you so you really become a team. Again, thank you, ladies. Talk to you soon. Everyone can reach out to Elina and Kristina through launchlabs Sofia website. And now it's time to continue to the sessions. At 11 o'clock, we will be watching a fireside chat led by founder of herring startup Noble Hair, Georgi Ivanov, who is going to be talking to someone very prominent in the IT ecosystem, Ivan Vankov Gattaca. Don't miss that in the sections.